Hello ulit, grade 6. So, welcome po ulit sa ating third week para sa Mathematics 6. So, our topic for this week is about percentage, rate, and base. So, when we say percent, it is the ratio that compares a number to 100. So, pinagkukumpara natin yung isang number sa 100, kaya siya percent. You can write percent as a fraction with a denominator of 100. You can use a symbol percent. Ito yung ginagamit natin sa pagsusulat ng percent, which is called the percent sign. After going through this lesson, you are expected to find the percentage, rate, and base, or percent in a given problem, as well as to solve routine and non-routine problems involving percentage, rate, and base. So, para maintindihan natin lalo itong lesson na to, let us read and analyze first the short problem below and observe how the idea of percentage, rate, and base to solve the problem. So, dito po yung problem natin. Robin's daily allowance is 40 pesos. He spends 12 pesos for his snacks. This is 30% of his daily allowance. So, sa situation na to, masasabi natin na 30% daw ng 40 pesos na allowance ni Robin ay yung 12 pesos. Kasi yung 12 pesos, ito daw yung 30% ng daily allowance. So, 30% of 40 pesos is 12 pesos. So, yan po siya. So, in this case, we can easily identify which is the percentage, the rate, and the base. So, yung P ang gagamitin natin para sa percentage, R for the rate, and B for the base. So, malalaman natin yung percentage. So, ito po yung, dito tayo muna sa rate. So, ang madali nating i-identify ang rate kasi basta meron siyang percent sign or yung word na percent, so siya po yung rate. Hindi po siya percentage, iba po yung percentage. So, yung rate po yung may percent sign. So, dito, sa 30% of 40 pesos is 12 pesos. Alin dyan ang rate? So, ito po. So, ito po yung ating R. Okay? Ngayon, ang pag-iisipan na lang natin dyan kasi madali naman yung R, yung rate, kasi basta may percent sign or percent award. Yung pag-iisipan na lang natin is yung alin yung percentage and alin yung base. Yung base, yun yung sinasabi natin yung kabuuan. Dito, ang nagre-represent na kabuuan is yung daily allowance ni Robin. So, ang daily allowance niya ay magkano? 40 pesos. So, yung 40 pesos, ito po yung kabuuan. Ito yung panglahat. So, yung 40 pesos, siya po yung ating magiging base. And syempre, meron na tayong base at saka meron na tayong rate. So, ano na lang nawawala? So, yung percentage. Ito yung part ng full. So, ang 12 pesos ay parte ng 40 pesos. So, dito yung kinuha. Sa 40 pesos, yung 12 pesos na yon. So, ito po yung ating percentage, yung ating P. So, ulitin natin. Ang rate, ito po yung mayroong percent sign or yung symbol na percent or yung word na percent. So, yung 30%, dito sa ating example, so siya po yung rate. And then, yung 40 pesos, yun yung halaga, yung total allowance, so yung daily allowance si Robin. So, siya po yung panglahatan, yung whole natin. So, siya po yung tinatawag natin na base. And, yung 30% ng 40, so ang 12 po is yung parte ng base, parte ng 40 pesos. So, 12 pesos po yung 30% ng 40. So, 12 pesos is what we call percentage. So, in finding the percentage, the rate, and the base, we usually use the Tekans triangle. So, ito po siya. So, using yung triangle natin, hatiin natin siya sa tatlo. Then, yung nasa taas po natin is our percentage. Then, sa baba natin is yung rate and yung base. So, kapag tayo po ay naghahanap ng percentage, ang gagawin lang natin is to cover this one. Ang matitira sa kanya, yung nasa baba, yung R at saka yung B. Magkadikit o nasa iisang posisyon yung R at saka B natin, magkatabi sila. So, ang operation pag magkatabi is multiplication. So, in finding P, we have to multiply yung rate and base. So, tatakpan lang natin using our hands. So, pwede nyo takpan. Yung P natin, so, ang matitira is R and B. So, siya po ang ating ipag-multiply. So, R times B. So, ito siya. Then, if we are going to find the rate, ang gagawin natin is takpan yung rate natin. Ang matitira is yung P sa taas at saka yung B sa baba. So, anong gagawin doon? Pag hindi sila magkatabi naman, ano bang opposite ng multiplication? So, yan ay division. So, since hindi magkatabi, nasa taas yung P at saka nasa baba yung B, so, i-divide natin yung percentage and yung base. So, magiging P divided by B. And kung base naman ang hinahanap natin, so, ang pag-divide naman natin is yung P at saka yung R. So, P divided by R. So let us have this example. So we have finding the percentage. So we have two ways in finding the percentage. First is using decimal. So gagamitin natin yung Tekens triangle para mahanap yung percentage. Kung percentage ang hinahanap, we just have to multiply the rate and the base. So dito, sa example natin, find 75% of 60. So, ang percent, ito ay, ano nga uli siya? Siya ay rate. And yung 60 of 60. Ang isang clue natin dito para malaman kung siya ba ay base or percentage. So, pag siya ay katabi yung of. So, katabi niya yung of, yun po ay base. So, we have yung rate at meron tayong base. Anong kulang natin dito? So, wala yung ating percentage. Kasi PRB. So, wala yung P. So, siya yung hinahanap natin. So, ano ba yung P natin? Okay? If we are going to use the Tekens triangle, so, ang gagawin lang natin is to multiply yung ating rate at saka yung ating base. Okay? So, ito na siya. So, since ang rate natin is 75%, at yung base natin is 60, so yun lang yung multiply natin. And since naka-percent pa itong 75 natin, we have to convert it into decimal. So pag kinonvert natin sa decimal, we just have to move the decimal point 2 places to the left. So kung nandito ang decimal point natin, imomove lang natin siya ng dalawa, 1, 2. So dito na natin ilalagay yung ating decimal point, dagdagan na natin ng 0 sa unahan. Okay, so kaya siya magiging 75 hundredths. So, itong 75 hundredths, yun ang i-multiply natin sa base na 60. Kasi tandaan natin, hindi tayo pwede mag-multiply ng diretso na naka-percent pa itong 75 natin. We have to convert it either on decimal or in fraction. So, since ang gagawin natin is decimal, so magiging 75 hundredths siya, then multiplied by 60, ang magiging answer natin is 45. So, ibig sabihin, ang ating percentage is 45. So, ang 75% ng 60 is 45. So, another technique is using the proportion. So, ito yung ginagamit natin na formula para sa, yung isa pa nating formula para sa paghahanap ng percentage, ng rate, at saka ng base. Ito, hindi nyo na kailangan tandaan hindi tulad doon sa Tekens triangle na pag percentage mo multiply. Kapag rate at saka base, magdi-divide. So, dito, ito na lang talaga yung formula na gagamitin. So, yung katulad ng pinag-aralan natin last week, using proportion. So, dito, parang ganun lang din ang ginagawa natin. So, tandaan lang natin yung formula. Pag gusto natin na i-proportion ang gagamitin natin, we have R over 100 equals P over V. P over B. So, ito po ang gagamitin natin. So, kung 75% of 60, ilagay uli natin, ang 75% is yung ating R, ang 60 is yung ating base or yung ating B. So, dito, palitan lang natin siya, substitute lang natin dito sa ating formula yung lahat na nandito. So, ang R natin is 75. So, ito. Hindi na natin kailangan lagyan ng percent kasi naka-over 100 na naman siya. So, 75. Yung P natin, wala naman dito. Yun ang hinahanap. Lagyan natin siya ng N. And yung base natin, yung B natin is yung 60. So, yan. Napalitan na natin yung formula galing dito. Okay, ngayon, tulad ng proportion natin, we have to cross-multiply. So, cross-multiply natin. 100 times n is 100n. 75 times 60 is 4,500. Ngayon, bakit may 100 sa ilalim? So, di ba natatandaan nyo kung ano yung katabi ng n na number, yun po ang i-divide natin pareho, both side. Okay, so ano ba ang katabi ng n dito? So, 100. So, divide natin sa 100 pareho. Ang technique lang pa nagdi-divide ng 100 is to cancel out yung number ng zeros. So, dito, since 100 divided by 100, so ito ay automatic na, wala na siya, 1 ang sagot dun, isang n lang. So, dito naman sa kabila, so ilan ang 0 ng 100? 1, 2. So, dalawa lang din ang babawasan natin 0 dito. So, matitira is 45. So, ibig sabihin, ang 75% ng 60 is 45. Katulad din ng using decimal. So, diskarte nyo na yun kung anong gagamitin nyo, pwedeng decimal or pwedeng proportion. For example number 2, there are 250 pupils in a school. If 20% of them are boys, how many Boy Scouts does the school have? So, dito, given na siya. So, syempre, yung 20%, automatic na may percent sign siya. So, siya po ay rate. Then, ang kabuuang pupils sa school, lahat ng pupils, boys and girls, ay 250 pupils. Ngayon, kung 20% daw ng 250 is are boys, ilan lahat yung boys? So, yun po. Kasi 20% lang nakalagay. Hindi natin alam kung ilan yung 20% ng 250. So, using decimal, gagamit tayo ng Tecans triangle. Kung P ang hinahanap, so we just have to multiply rate and base. So, anong rate natin? 20%. And yung base natin is 250. So, multiply lang natin siya. So, syempre, hindi tayo pwede mag-multiply na naka-percent sign pa yung 20 natin. So, we have to convert it into decimal. So, ang 20%, move lang natin ng 2 places to the left. So, nandito yung decimal point natin. So, 1, 2. So, nandito na ang ating decimal point. So, kaya siya magiging 20 hundredths or 0.20. Then, yun ang i-multiply natin sa 250 and ang makukuha natin is 50. So, ibig sabihin, ang 20% ng 250 is 50. So, there are 50 boys in the school. So, another way, so yung second technique natin is using proportion. So, using this general formula, R over 100 equals P over B. So, ang R natin, substitute natin dito yung ating given. So, ang R natin is 20. Ang P natin, nawawala, so N. Ang B natin is 250. Then, cross multiply, 100 times N is 100N. 20 times 250 is 5,000. So, bakit 100 ang i-divide sa kanila? Kasi ang katabi ng n is 100. So, para ma-cancel out natin tong 100. So, di-divide natin pareho sa 100. So, itong 100n divided by 100, cancel out na siya kasi equivalent siya sa 1. Then, dito naman, 5,000 divided by 100. So, isang 0, cancel natin. Isang 0 uli, isang 0. So, magiging 50 divided by 1 is 50. So, kapareho lang ng sagot dun sa kabila, sa decimal. So, same po with finding the rate. So, gagamit lang din tayo ng Tecans triangle para mahanap po yung ating rate. So, for example, number 3, we have 45 is what percent of 75. So, paano natin ma-identify kung ang hinahanap ba ay rate? So, nakalagay naman dito, what percent? So, anong percent daw po ba ng 75 ang 45? So, isipin natin dito, ito yung hinahanap natin, what percent? So, yun yung n percent natin of 75. So, naalala nyo, percent of 75. So, ang of 75, ito ay base. So, siya po yung base natin and yung 45 is yung answer. So, yun yung percentage natin. So, ang rate natin ang nawawala, we have the base which is 75 and 45 is our percentage. So, using this Tecans triangle, so, apply lang natin siya. Ang rate ang nawawala, so, magiging P divided by B. So, percentage divided by base. So, dito, kung gagamit tayo ng fraction, so apply lang natin yung kanina, yung percentage is equal to rate times base. So, ang rate natin is wala. So, magiging n over 100. So, gawin natin siyang over 100. Kasi hindi natin siya pwede gawing decimal, hindi natin alam kung ano ang value ng n. So, n over 100 times yung ating base, which is 75, equals 45. So, paano natin siya isa-solve? So, multiply lang natin yung 75 dun sa n sa taas. 75 times n is 75n over 100 equals 45. So, paano natin siya tatanggalin yung 100 dito? Kung divide dito, 75n divided by 100, para mailipat natin siya sa kabila, so magiging multiply siya. So, may iwan yung 75n, so equals 45 times 100. So, nalipat na natin yung 100 sa kabila. Kung dito ay divide 100, pag nasa kabila na siya, magiging times 100 na siya. So, ito. Ngayon, multiply natin yung 45 times 100. So, magiging 4,500. And, paano natin makakancel ang 75? Divide natin both side by 75. So, 75 divided by 75, cancel out na siya, magiging 1. Then, dito naman, 4,500 divided by 75 is 60. So, ang 60% ng 75 is 45. Another way, again, is using proportion. So, personally, mas madali sa akin itong general formula kasi hindi na kayo pabago-bago ng formulang ginagawa. So, dito, palitan natin yung R. So, ano bang R uli natin dito? Wala. So, magiging N over 100 equals, yung P natin is 45, ang B natin is 75. So, yun pa rin yung formula katulad ng ginagawa natin kanina sa finding the percentage. Ngayon, apply natin siya. Cross multiply, so 75 times n is 75n. 100 times 45 is 4,500. And divide both side by 75, yung katabi ng n, 75. So ito cancel out, matitira yung n. Dito, 4,500 divided by 75 is 60. So same lang nung using fraction, pero personally, mas madali ito kasi hindi na kayo napabago-bago ng formula. Kahit maalin man siya sa percentage, rate, or base, ito pa rin yung gagamiting formula pag using proportion. Then, finding the base. So, yung base, yung whole. So, for example, number 4, in Mr. Lazo's math class, 8 pupils got high scores on the test. So, 8 yung nakakuha ng high scores. If this is 20% of the total number of pupils in the class, how many pupils does he have in all? So, 20% daw ng total, wala yung sinabi kung ilan yung total. So, 20% is the rate. Yung total, wala. Nawawala siya. So, siya yung base natin. And 20% ng total is 8. So, yun yung percentage natin. So, yung 8 ay parte lang ng total na pupils. So, yan. Meron na tayong R, P, at saka B. So, using decimal again, so, gagawin nyo lang is kung nawawala ang B, so, pwede nyo i-change ito sa PRB. So, paano yun? So, 20% of yung total is 8. So, ito na siya. 20% of yung total na nawawala is 8. So, kung R times B yan, so, yung rate natin is 20 hundreds kasi change na natin siya into decimal times yung n natin kasi siya yung nawawala and percentage natin yung nasa kabila ng equal. So, para makancel yung 20 hundreds, divide lang natin pareho sa 20 hundreds. So, matitira dito is n and dito 8 divided by 20 hundreds is 40. So, ang kabuuan is 40. 20% ng 40 is 8. So, ito, using proportion. So, ang gagawin nyo lang is apply siya sa general formula natin. So, ang R natin is 20. Ang P natin is 8. At yung base natin ang nawawala. So, gagawin natin siyang N. So, ngayon, we apply yung cross multiply. So, 20 times N, which is 20N. 100 times 8, which is 800. So, ngayon, paano makancel yung 20? We divide it both side by 20. So, 20n divided by 20, cancel ang 20, matitira ang n. 800 divided by 20 is 40. So, parang mas madali nga pa rin itong general formula in finding yung percentage rate and base. So, pag-apply naman natin sa problem solving, example number 5, there are 200 participants attended during mathematics seminar workshop. So, 200 kabuuan yun. Yun lahat yung umattend sa workshop. If 40% of these were men and the rest are women, how many are women participated in the mathematics seminar workshop? So, 40% daw nung lahat ng participant are men. At yung syempre natitira doon sa 100% is yung women. So, ilan daw lahat yung women? Women ang tinatanong ha, hindi yung men. Ang 40% men yun. So, paano natin malalaman kung ilang percent yung women? So, apply natin yung ating 4-step plan in problem solving. So, una is understand, pangalawa is plan, then yung third is solve, and yung last is check. Sa understand, we have 2 steps, yung what is asked and what are the given. So, what is asked? Ano yung tinatanong dito sa problem natin? So, nakita natin dito may question mark. Ano? How many are women participated in the mathematics seminar workshop? So, the number of women participated in the seminar workshop. Ang given, ito yung mga numbers na nandyan. So, 200 participants of the total, o mali ito. So, ito dapat ay 40%. So, ito yung makikita natin doon sa problem. So, 40% were male. Okay, so careful tayo sa paglalagay ng given natin. So, 40% were male out of 200 participants. So, anong plano natin? We can use illustration. So, ito po siya. So, 40%, anong nire-represent ng bawat box na to? Sa 10 ito, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So, itong whole, ang total nito is 100%. Diba? Ang kabuuan naman is 100%. Okay? So, bawat box, nagre-represent siya ng tigte 10%. So, tigte 10 po ito. 10% po ito kada isang box. Ngayon, sabi daw, ang men daw is 40%. So, ito, 4 na box siya. Then, yung 60% are women. Kasi 100 minus 40 is 60. Sabi kasi dun sa problem, 40% daw ay men. Hindi sinabi ko ilan ang women. So, para malaman ko ilang percent ang women, minus nyo lang yung men doon sa 100%. So, kaya natin masasabi na 60% ang women. So, gamitin natin yung P equals R times B. So, ulitin natin. So, ang R natin is 60%. Bakit hindi 40%? Kasi ang tinatanong is women. So, kung 40% ang men, 60% ang women. Then, yung base natin is 200. So, we will multiply 60% by 200. So, 60% convert to decimal, magiging 60 hundreds times 200. The answer is 120. So, ibig sabihin, there were 120 women participants in the seminar workshop. So, to check our answer, ito yung last step natin. So, one way to know if your answer is correct, so pwede nating i-solve pareho. Kung ang 60% of 200 is 120, ang 40% ng 200 para sa men, ito ay para sa men naman, is 80. So, 80 ang men, 120 ang women. Kailangan kasi mag-total siya ng 200. So, kapag in-add natin ng 80 plus 120, ang total ay 200. So, ibig sabihin, tama yung ating sagot. So, let us try to answer learning task 1. Let us find the percentage. So, number 1, what is the 20% of 160? So, ang mas madaling paraan is using the general formula. So, yung R over 100 equals P over B. So, alamin natin. So, percentage ang hinahanap, di ba? So, ang 20% is our R. So, ito ang ating R. Tapos, nakikita nyo yung may off. So, off 160, ito yung ating base. So, substitute natin dito. Ang R natin ay magiging 20. Ang P natin, wala. So, siya yung N. At yung base natin is 160. Then, we have to cross multiply. 20 times 160 is 3,200. 100 times N is 100N. After cross multiply, divide natin kung ano yung katabi ng N. So, ang katabi ng N is 100. So, we will divide both sides by 100. So, 100 divided by 100 is N. Matitira yung N. And 3,200 divided by 100 is 32. So, ibig sabihin, ang 20% of 160 is 32. Number 2, so ganun lang din. So, ito ang ating R, ito ang ating B, kasi siya may katabing off. Okay, off 96. So, ito yung B natin. So, substitute natin. So, 25 yung R natin, P, yun yung N natin, and 96 yung ating base. We will cross multiply. So, 25 times 96 is 2,400. 100 times N is 100N. Then, we will divide both sides by 100. So, 100 divided by 100 is 1. So, matitira ang N natin. 2,400 divided by 100. Cancel natin yung tig-dalawang 0. Magiging 24. So, 25% of 96 is 24. So, same procedure lang. Ganun lang ulit. So, ito ang ating rate. Kasi siya may percent sign. And yung katabi ng off is yung ating base. So, substitute natin. So, magiging 15 over 100 equals N over 80. Cross multiply. 15 times 80 is 1,200. 100 times N is 100N. Then, divide both sides by 100. So, 1,200 divided by 100 is 12. So, sa number 4, so, ang rate natin is 50. Ang P natin is N. Ang base natin is 70. Yung katabi ng off. So, cross multiply, 50 times 70 is 3,500. 100 times N is 100N. Divide both sides by 100. So, ang magiging answer natin is 35. Then, number 5, what is 30% of 20? So, ang 30, ito yung ating rate. So, ang 30 is rate, ang 20 is yung base. So, nawawala is yung ating percentage. Then, cross multiply, 30 times 20 is 600. 100 times N is 100N. Then, divide both sides by 100. So, 600 divided by 100 is 6. So, ang 30% of 20 is 6. Then, number 6, 75% of 40. So, 75% is our R. 40 is our base. So, yan. So, magiging 75 over 100 equals N over 40. Then, cross multiply. 75 times 40 is 3,000. 100 times N is 100N. Then, divide both sides by 100. So, 3,000 divided by 100 is 30. Then, 100 divided by 100 is 1. So, magtitira yung N. So, 75% of 40 is 30. Then, for number 7, we have 65% of 100 is blank. So, ang 65% is our R, 100 is our base. So, 65 over 100 equals N over 100. Then, cross multiply. So, 65 times 100 is 6,500. 100 times N is 100N. Then, divide both sides by 100 kasi yun yung katabi ng N. Hindi laging 100 ang dinidivide natin, ha? Nagkataon lang po na ang katabi ng N natin is 100. So, 6,500 divided by 100 is 65. And 100 divided by 100 is 1. So, matitira ang N natin. So, mapapansin nyo, yung 65% ng 100, 65 din. Kasi, di ba, ang 100 is, kung percentage, ang kabuuan is 100%. So, parang ganun lang din siya. Kinuha lang siya dito. So, So we have 200% of 100 is blank. So 200% is our rate, 100 is our base, and yung P po ang ating hinahanap. So by substitution, so 200 over 100 equals n over 100. So cross multiply, 200 times 100 is 20,000. 100 times n is 100n. Then we will divide both sides by 100. So 20,000 divided by 100 is equal to 200. So 200% of 100 is 200. Then for number 9, what is 125% of 100? So, substitute lang natin. R natin is 125%. 100 is our base. So, yan. So, cross-multiply. So, we will have 12,500 equals 100n. Then, we will divide both sides by 100. So, ang ating magiging answer is 125. Then, last, number 10. So, what is 300% of 100? So, R natin is 300%. Ang 100 natin is our base. So, 300 over 100 equals n over 100. Then, we will apply cross-multiply. So, 300 times 100 is 30,000. 100 times n is 100n. Then, we will divide both sides by 100 and our answer will be 300. So, para naman sa learning task 2, we will find the base. So, yun pa ring general formula ang gamitin natin. So, para kasi sa akin, mas madali kasi gamitin ito compared doon sa ating using decimal or yung using fraction. So, 50 is 8% of what number? So, of what number? So, nawawala is base. So, 8% of ano? So, ang 8%, ang 8 natin is our rate. Ang 50 is our percentage. Ang nawawala kasi is yung ating base. So, yan. So, pinalitan natin, ang R natin is 8. Ang 50 natin yung ating percentage. And ang nawawala is yung ating N. Okay, cross multiply. 8 times N is 8N. 100 times 50 is 5,000. Then, divide both sides by, saan po natin i-divide? Sa 8. Kasi yun ang katabi ng N natin. So, divide natin both sides by 8. So, 8N divided by 8 is N. 5,000 divided by 8 is 625. So, ito ang ating base. 8% of 625 is 50. Then, number 2, we have 20% of what number is 15. Of what number? So, nawawala is base natin. So, 20% ng ano? Ang 15. So, ang rate natin is 20%. Ang 15 is our percentage. So, nawawala is our base. So, by substitution, so ang R natin is 20, ang P natin is 15, ang B natin is N. Then, cross-multiply, 20 times N is 20N, 100 times 15 is 1,500. Then, saan natin siya i-divide? Sa katabi ng N, which is yung 20. So, divide natin both sides by 20. So, 20N divided by 20 is N. 1,500 divided by 20 is 75. So, 20% of 75 is 15. So, sa number 3, so 12 is 4% of what number? So, ang 12 daw ay 4% ng ano? So, nawawala ulit natin is base. So, ang R natin is 4%. Ang P natin is 12. Ang base natin ang nawawala. So, N. Cross multiply. 4 times N is 4N. 100 times 12 is 1,200. Then, divide both sides by 4. Kasi yun yung katabi ng N. 4N divided by 4 is N. 1,200 divided by 4 is 300. So, 4% ng 300 is 12. Then, sa number 4, so, ganun lang din uli. So, 80% natin is R. Ang 5 natin is yung percentage. Ang nawawala is yung ating base. So, yan. Then, apply yung cross-multiply. So, 80 times N is 80N. 100 times 5 is 500. Then, saan natin i-divide? Sa 80. So, 80N divided by 80 is N. 500 divided by 80 is 6 and 25 hundredths. O, 6 and 1/4. Then number 5, 7 is 70% of what number? So, ang R natin is 70. Ang 7 is our percentage at ang nawawala natin is yung ating base. So, 70 over 100 equals 7 over n. Then, we will cross multiply. 70 times n is 70n. 100 times 7 is 700. Then, divide both sides by 70. 70n divided by 70 is n. 700 divided by 70 is 10. So, 70% of 10 is 7. Then, for number 6, we have 6 is 75% of what number? So, apply natin general formula by substitution. So, yung R natin is 75. Ang P natin is 6. Ang nawawala is yung ating base. Then, apply yung cross multiply. 75 times n is 75n. 100 times 6 is 600. Then, divide both sides by 75. So, ang magiging answer natin is 8. Kasi 600 divided by 75 is 8. So, 75% of 8 is 6. Then, number 7. 8 is 20% of what number ito ha? Hindi is. 75 8 is 20% of what number? So, ang 20% is our R, ang 8 is our percentage, and yung base ang nawawala. So, cross multiply, 20 times n is 20n. 100 times 8 is, ito po ay 800. Then, divide both sides by 20. So, magiging answer natin is 40. 800 divided by 20 is 40. So, 20% of 40 is 8. Then, number 8. So, 9% is our R. 2.25 or 2 and 25 hundredths is our percentage. At nawawala yung ating base. So, 9 times n is 9n. 100 times 2 and 25 hundredths is 225. Then, divide both sides by 9 kasi yun yung katabi ng n. So, ang magiging answer natin is 25. 225 divided by 9 is 25. So, 9% of 25 is 2 and 25 hundredths. Then, number 9, 75% of what number is 1/2? So, ang 75% is our R. Ang 1/2 is our percentage. So, yung 1/2, pwede natin convert as 5/10. So, yan. Para decimal na rin siya. Then, we will cross multiply. So, 75 times n is 75n. 100 times 5/10 is 50. Then, divide both sides by 75. So, ang ating magiging answer is 2/3 or 67 hundredths. Kasi repeating decimal to. So, napakahaba. So, pwedeng dito na lang tayo sa fraction. Then, number 10, yung last natin for learning task 2, 49 is 87.5% of what number? So, ang 87.5 is our rate, ang 49 is our percentage, and ang nawawala is yung ating base. So, 87.5 times n is 87.5n. 100 times 49. So, ito nagkamali. So, ito po ay 4,900. Then, 87.5n. So, ito po ang ating i-divide sa kanya. 87.5 kasi yung katabi ng n. So, magiging answer natin is 4,900 divided by 87.5 is 56. So, 87.5% of 56 is 49. For the learning task 3, so ang gagawin naman natin is to find the rate. So, sa number 1, 1 is what percent of 10? So, dito, what percent? So, madali na yan. So, ito yung percent natin. So, nawawala natin is R. So, of 10. So, di ba yung may of? Ito ay base. and yung 1, ito yung ating percentage. So, nawawala natin is yung ating R. So, siya nga magiging N natin. So, ang percentage natin is 1, ang base natin is 10. So, yan. So, magiging N over 100 equals yung P natin is 1, ang base natin is 10. Then, cross multiply, N times 10 is 10N, 100 times 1 is 100. Then, divide both sides by 10. So, 10N divided by 10 is N, and 100 divided by 10 is 10. So, 10% ng 10 is 1. So, ito po ay pwede natin lagyan sa dulo ng percent. Percent sign. Then, number 2, 10 is what percent of 20? So, yung 10 is, yun yung percentage natin. Yung of 20, ito yung base natin. Ang nawawala is yung percent, yung rate. Yan. So, magiging ganyan. N over 100 equals 10. Yun yung percentage natin. 20 is our base. Then, cross multiply. N times 20 is 20N. 100 times 10 is 1,000. Then, divide both sides by 20. So, magiging answer natin is 50. 1,000 divided by 20 is 50. So, 50%. 50% of 20 is 10. Number 3, 5 is what percent of 25? So, what percent? Ito yung R natin, yung N. Ang 5 natin is yung percentage, and yung base natin is 25. Then, cross multiply, N times 25 is 25N. 100 times 5 is 500. Then, divide both sides by 25, so our answer will be 20. Sa number 4, so same procedure, ang 80 natin is yung base kasi of 80. So, ito pa i-base natin is 56. So, yun ang percentage natin. Cross multiply. So, ito yung makukuha natin. And divide both sides by 80. 5,600 divided by 80 is 70. Number 5. What percent of 20 is 15? So, of 20, ito ang base natin. Ang 15 is our percentage. Yan. Then, cross multiply. So, 20N equals 1,500. Divide both sides by 20. So, 1,500 divided by 20 will be 75. So, 75% of 20 is 15. Then, for number 6, 14 is what percent of 35? 14 is, ito yung percentage natin. Of 35, ito yung base natin. Then, cross multiply, magiging 35N equals 1,400. Divide both sides by 35. 1,400 divided by 35 is 40. So, 40% of 35 is 14. The number 7, 27 is what percent of 48? So, 27 is, ito yung ating percentage. Of 48, ito yung ating base. Cross multiply, so magiging 48N equals 2,700. Divide both sides by 48. So, 2,700 divided by 48 is 56 and 25 hundredths, or 56 and 1/4. Number 8, what percent of 12 is 10? So, of 12, ito yung base natin, is 10. Ito yung ating percentage. Cross multiply, 12N equals 1,000. Divide both sides by 12. So, ang answer natin is magiging 83 and 1/3. Or 83 and 33 hundredths. So, repeating decimal din to. The number 9, what percent of 24 is 12 hundredths? So, of 24, ito yung base natin is 12 hundredths. So, yun yung ating percentage. So, yan. So, cross multiply. So, magiging 24N times 12. 24N equals 12. Then, divide both sides by 24. So, siya ay magiging 5/10 or 1/2. So, 5/10% of 24 is, or 1/2% of 24 is 12 hundredths. Then, last, number 10, 3,150 is what percent of 9,000? So, 3,150 is our percentage of 9,000. Ito po yung ating base. Then cross multiply, so magiging 9,000n equals 315,000. Kasi minultiply natin dito. Then divide both sides by 9,000. So pwede nyo na tagalin yung tatlong zero. Magiging 315 divided by 9. So ang answer natin is 35. So 35% of 9,000 is 3,150. Then, nandito na tayo sa last learning task natin. So, we will answer the following. We will show the solution using decimal and proportion methods. So, in survey, the barangay had a certain number of families and 60% of them are identified and belong to the poor or marginalized sector if the total families is 150. How many families are belong to the poor sector? So, 60% daw ay kinoconsider as poor. Ang total ng families natin is 150. So, 60% daw ng 150 ay poor. So, hinahanap natin yung percentage yung ilan yung poor natin. So, ang R natin is yung 60% at yung base natin is 150. So, kaya magiging ganito. Bakit naging 60 hundreds? Kasi kinonvert natin yung 60% into decimal. Move lang natin 2 decimal places to the left. So, magiging 60 hundreds times 150, the answer will be 90. So, try natin sa proportion method kung 90 nga talaga siya, 90 families ang sagot. So, dito ang R natin is 60, ang base natin is 150. Ang nawawala is our percentage. So, cross multiply. So, magiging 60 times 150 is 9,000. 100 times n is 100n. Then, divide both sides by 100 kasi yun yung katabi ng n. So, the answer is still 90. So, 90 families po talaga siya. Then, for number 2, Lola Remedios went to groceries to buy her daily needs. If the total amount of her groceries is 2,500 pesos, what would be the new amount if the store granted her 20% senior citizens discounts? So, dito, ang total na pinamili ni Lola Remedios ay 2,500. Tapos ngayon, i-grant daw siya ng 20% senior citizen discount. So, mababawasan pa yung babayaran niya. So, magkano yung mababawas sa kanya and magkano na lang yung babayaran niya. Okay? So, ang 2,500 is yung total, yung base natin. 20% is our rate. So, yan. So, ang 20% magiging 20 hundreds. Tapos, ang base natin is 2,500. Kapag multiply, the answer will be 500. Ito ay yung discount pa lang. Ang tinatanong kasi is, magkano yung kanyang bagong babayaran kung nabawasan na siya ng 500. So, minus lang natin yung 200 dun sa percentage natin. So, 200 minus 500 will be 2,000 pesos. So, ito yung babayaran ni Lola Remedios. Kasi nabawasan na siya ng 20% gamit yung kanyang senior citizen discount. Sa proportion method, ganun lang din. So, R natin is 20. Ang base natin is 2,500. Then, cross multiply. 20 times 2,500 is 50,000. 100 times n is 100n. Then, divide both sides by 100. So, ang answer natin dito is 500. Then, babalik ulit tayo dito. Multiply na, i-subtract natin yung total, 2,500 sa P natin, which is 500. So, yun pa rin magiging sagot. 2,000 pesos. Then, last, number 3. A passenger bus can accommodate 60 seats. During pandemic, they reduced their accommodation to 50%. How many passengers can be accommodated by the bus? 60 yung kabuuan. Ito lahat yung seats doon sa bus. Ngayon, sa pandemic, 50% lang dapat ang malagyan noon. So, ang 50% is our rate, ang 60 is our base. So, ito ay 60. Tama, 50% ang ating rate. So, magiging 50 hundreds. Tapos, ang base natin is 60. Pag multiply, ang makukuha natin is 30. So, sa proportion method, so, ang rate natin is 50. Ang base natin is 60. Ang nawawala is n. Then, pag cross multiply, 50 times 60 is 3,000. 100 times n is 100n. Divide both sides by 100, so ang matitira natin dyan is 30. Ganon din po. So, ang answer dito, ilan ang laman dapat during pandemic? So, 30 passengers. Ayan. So, tapos na tayo sa learning task. Ito na po yung ating kailangan tandaan. Percentage is the amount that represents a part of a whole. So, parte ng kabuuan ang tinatawag natin percentage. To find the percentage of a number, you can change it to decimal. Pwedeng gawin natin decimal or fraction. And then multiply it by the given number or multiply the percent or rate by the given number or base. Pag sinabi nating base, ito yung ating whole, yung kabuuan natin. In finding the base, just divide the percentage by the rate. And yung rate natin, ito yung number compared to 100. Kadalasan, ito yung may percent sign or yung word na percent. To find the percent or rate, divide the percentage by the given number or base, and or rewrite the number as fraction, then change the denominator to 100. Simplify and write the percent symbol. Sa pag-rate, susulatan ng percent symbol. Or pwede nyo gamitin yung sinasabi ko na general formula, yung R over 100 equals percentage divided by base. Ayan. So, yung proportion. So, pwede natin gamitin yan. And that ends our lesson for this week. So, I hope po madami kayong technique or methods na natutunan about this lesson by watching our video lesson. And I will see you next week.